Hey everybody, it's Justin from Bittner Built, and today we are going to be talking about xTool's new apparel printer. This is xTool's newest thing that they've come out with, and it's a lot different than all the laser engravers that xTool is primarily known for. So I'm bringing in my friend Mike Smerka. Everybody in xTool land knows who Mike is. Mike is the owner of Diode Designs, and he's more of a production guy, right, Mike?
Yep, I tend to pump the items out of the shop as much as I can.
Yeah, so Mike is known, for his laser products, but you've also gotten into apparel as well. So I was really interested to get your opinion on this machine as well, if we could.
For sure.
We're going to answer your questions. I put a whole bunch of questions out in the xTool Facebook forums, looking for what you were interested in knowing that maybe wasn't expressed on xTool's website or on the Kickstarter. I have a lot of information that you don't know. We also have some videos of the product in action that are kind of behind the scenes stuff we'll show you. Unfortunately, I don't have everything, but trust me, you are going to learn new stuff as we kind of go through things. So I want to take a look at the printer, kind of go over some tech specs and whatnot. And then at the end, I think we want to talk a little bit of business thought process on this machine as well, because this is definitely something a little bit different than at least what I normally work with on my channel. But as like a lifelong entrepreneur, I always look at new things and try to see, well, where's the business behind that? So, Mike, what's your first impressions?
So my first impressions are that it's a really innovative, cool machine. It's good to see that they're entering the market, but also that they're integrating an all-in-one unit. So from my perspective, I was looking at other larger, more commercial DTF printers in the past, and what I found was all of them were like extremely high price for anything that could do a production quality or a production quantity kind of prints. So you were looking at like, tens of thousands of dollars just to be able to run these things. And I like to make my own shirts. I like to make one-off items. I like to make hats. So it so it seems to be an affordable entry point for like the average consumer or even the small business.
Mm-hmm. So, in a lot of what xTool's products are when they come out with all the different laser engravers, and then they do have accessories that do apply over into, like the screen printer, the M1, which can do cutting of like vinyl products, so then you can then apply it onto like bags and shirts and things like that. They've kind of been dabbling in it. But overall, all of these machines are consumer, prosumer grade machines across the line. Looking at this machine, this is probably a professional machine.
That was my indications. That's what I've kind of seen of it, and the perspective feet per minute and all that. It does seem to be more geared toward the small business slash medium business, somebody who wants to do print in-house apparel or do custom things on the fly, but doesn't necessarily need to print 24-inch gang sheets all day every day.
Mm. So, doing or looking at DTF printers as a whole, DTF printers up until now, they are prone to breaking. These are machines that actually, to keep them running well, you need to be running it all the time. So
Every
individual,
day.
yeah, exactly, every day. The thing that what I've seen most people encounter is that you get clogging otherwise on the nozzles. And depending on what type of printer you have, that can be hundreds to thousands of dollars to replace those nozzles if they're completely gummed up and not working anymore. And it's from not using it enough and not doing daily maintenance, heavy daily maintenance.
Yeah,
So,
some people say that they almost spend like an hour on it per day just doing the maintenance. That's why a lot of like people would just say, just order yourself the prints rather than printing yourself, because traditionally you're having to spend hours on maintenance.
mhm. I was actually offered a review unit on one of the competitors in this space, and I actually declined it because I'm not a volume producer. I'm somebody who does a little bit of everything on the channel and personally. And so if I were to get one of those current existing DTF printers, and use it once a week, it's going to go in the garbage pretty quick, and that's a lot of money.
You would be replacing it about once a week, because
There you go.
at least those print heads, because those print heads would just gum up, and then that would be the end of it. And those are not cheap.
Yeah. So really, the promise that we're experiencing here with the new xTool is that that's not going to be a problem. What xTool has told me directly, and what they're putting out in their marketing materials, is that while this machine is plugged in, it is going to be constantly running its own autonomous maintenance on the machine. It's going to be circulating the inks. It's going to be cleaning the nozzles. And it gives you live, real-time updates on your phone if necessary with certain things. So let me even just go over to my specific question. So I asked my contact over at xTool. I said, if I leave the equipment for a week without being used, is the nozzle going to clog? And she said that there is no daily maintenance required from you on the machine, even if you are not using it. There is a risk if the environment is too dry, so low humidity, that it might require additional maintenance. But otherwise, maintenance is not required when the machine is not in use. Other maintenance tasks will be performed automatically or by pressing buttons on the machine. So if they follow through with this, so if that was really the focus on this machine, on let's make sure that this machine is something that will maintain itself so that it doesn't break, which would be a very, very good thing. And then, of course, the shake and bake, as we're calling it, the unit that puts it through the powder shaking process and then the baking process is autonomous, then is that a winner?
From my perspective, yeah, because then that means if I don't necessarily need to print something every day. Obviously, my main focus is laser engraving, and I also do 3D printing, and I have my hands in a lot of different things also. I'm going to use the DTF printer more often, but I wouldn't say it's every day. Like if I go on a vacation or something, I would need to, if I bought a normal DTF printer, I would have to have an employee go to the shop just to do the maintenance. So if you can leave it for a day or two, or week, whatever, and not have to sit there and manually go through and mess with it, that's a huge improvement.
Or maybe even running it dry before going on a vacation, or emptying it out, something along those lines.
It's a lot of wasted ink and a lot of prep.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time, a lot of maintenance.
Yeah. Having to baby something like that is an off-putting thing. So I can definitely even say now, just even where we're at, if they achieve that, cool, move forward. If they don't achieve that with this machine, that is a huge hang-up. And unless you are one of those 7-day-a-week constant crank-out shops that's doing the volume, you should probably not be looking at a machine like this, just DTF as a whole.
Yeah, DTF as a whole would be...
Because you're not going to be able to make it work. Yeah. So just where I'm at even on here, I know somebody had asked a question on Facebook about why it has such a low DPI. And on this machine, it has 720 by 1800 DPI. What do you think about that?
So I did see that, and there is another company out there that is releasing a similar product, but the one thing to really point out here with the DPI and the print resolution, the print heads, is that while it is a slightly lower DPI, the fact that it has dual print heads makes it exponentially more efficient, and like you're gonna get vivid colors. Like the dual print head technology is gonna, well, two is better than one. Mm-hmm. You're going to be able to kind of pump out the product a lot faster.
Yeah.
So there it is, the 50.
Let me share a little video real quick. So this will be a behind the scenes thing. This image right here, we're going to see a peel. This looks pretty nice.
Yeah, that looks pretty high resolution. I mean, it's just as good as my logo is on my shirt, and this was printed on one of those very, very high-end printers.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously we got to get it in our hands, but I don't think that resolution is going to be a problem over here with that stuff. Hopefully.
I think at a certain point too, you get to where it's kind of like with TVs. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
do I need that $20,000 8K, real HD 7,000 hertz that my eyes couldn't pick up on its best day?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Eh, diminishing
Um,
returns.
yeah. So, just with this little animation that they have up on the screen right now, I wanted to kind of share a couple things. One of the testers that has been posting, they're noting that the printer unit itself, so that main area where the printing is happening, that is advancing the double-sided sticky film through with double-sided rubber rollers. So, as it goes through there, it's using rollers, even though the paper is perforated there. And then what you'll see is it'll drop as soon as this gets cut right here. So we'll see it in a second. It drops and it does like a U shape. And when it does the U shape, it's going to get picked up by sprockets at that point. And those sprockets are then going to take it through the bake oven section. So it's going to slowly move it up and then down again so that it's baking both sides on that. And then it will deposit it down on the bottom. That is also going to be moving at the same rate that the print head is going to be printing out the next item. So I know somebody had asked in the questions on Facebook, will the shake and bake slow things down? And no, it all moves at the exact same rate. So the addition of the shake and bake isn't going to slow it down from like that 7-minute-ish time frame that people had kind of calculated out. It's going to be 7 minutes no matter what. Obviously based on the size of your print.
And that's great. That the one thing that I did want to point out is that some of those other printers out there, they do not have that available. So
Yeah.
it is a manual process to go ahead and take it out, then shake the DTF in the adhesive, and then bake it. And then also, some of them that are being released don't even have an auto cut feature, which then you have to sit there and it's all a manual process, and that takes time. And then there's a lot more chance for, smudging or messing that up along the way.
Also, like this being completely automated right here, you're basically starting your job, and you could tell it to make 300 of these and walk away, and you're going to come back to a giant stack of 300 of these at a certain point without you having to do anything.
Yeah, and that to me, for me as like a business, it's invaluable, because then I could hit start on this job, and I could go over to my P2, go ahead and do what I got to do there, or, go with my lasers or go check on something else.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're literally 300 times going to have to do a sifting process with powder, and then you're going to have to apply it over to your oven and bake it and take it out. You're adding so many other steps that you have to do that is your personal labor, time intensive, that this eliminates from that.
Yeah, and it eliminates the, I don't say like the guesswork of it too, or like the user error.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you guys another little secret video here. So this is going to actually be the unit in action so that you can see the shake and bake kind of happen. So these are all videos provided to me by the team at xTool. This is actually at one of their kind of like commercial filming sets that they're using to make their promo videos and stuff, but they included this in my kind of packet that they provided over to me. I will be reviewing one of these machines a little bit later, and I'm doing it from the business perspective. Of course, I'm not a commercial apparel company, which is really what this is based at. Kind of like internal documents for xTool, they kind of look at it like 60% of the intended consumer on here is that apparel type of company. And then you're only really looking at a very small portion where they think that people are going to buy this to kind of up and get into that space. It's most likely people who are already in that space that are really going to be interested in this, and especially too because this is $3,999 on Kickstarter right now. That specifically is for the printer unit only. It does not include the shake and bake tower. And unfortunately, I still don't have the price for that. I asked again last night. They said we're not releasing that right now. I also do not have the prices for the inks. So a little bummer there. I really wish I knew that. My gut, and I am completely guessing, I think in total, you're looking at like 6,000 for this unit in total. I could be surprised. Maybe it's 5.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where I think it's going to,
And I was
sit.
looking at with the ink itself, as far as pricing, my quick math. Well, if they were including the like $118 value,
Mm-hmm.
and it was 2 bottles, 118 divided by 2, $59 each per bottle. That's about standard market, as long as that's about the actual price.
Mm-hmm.
Because they said
And you mean that would be like the full CMYK setup, so white plus all the colors.
Well, they said when you did the Kickstarter, I believe you got a bottle of black and an extra bottle of white. I think they were both 500 milliliters.
Okay, so 2
each.
bottles.
So it was the 2 bottles, and then those 2 bottles were $118 value. So that would mean they would be about $59 each, which that is about the standard cost. And it's also exponentially cheaper than if you need to buy some of the Epson cartridges, because the Epson cartridges sometimes cost upwards of, hundreds of dollars per cartridge, and you can only use the Epson ones with those.
Mm-hmm. So speaking about that, I can confirm that you can use third-party ink with this machine. So let me kind of specifically read exactly what they said. We use DTF-specific ink, which is technically compatible with other brands. We wouldn't recommend it. Our ICC-based color calibration is fine-tuned with our ink and film to deliver top-notch color quality. We've also applied for G7 color certification. Normally, G7 color certification units are $10,000 and above. So they're currently in the review process on that. So they haven't been granted it yet, but they have applied for it and are being reviewed. If they get that, they will be one of the first sub $10,000 units to get that. And, that's a good thing. Basically, what G7 means is it's guaranteeing you accurate color printing. So your colors are going to be exactly what they're supposed to be. So that's good. That you can use ones from outside of xTool's, but if they are pricing it like, where you think they're coming in at, use xTool's brand.
Yeah. I've learned, like, sometimes taking the shortcut, especially I was a printer technician. I'd worked in the print industry for a large company in Nashville. Mm-hmm. Sometimes taking the shortcut is a long road. Mm-hmm. You get into those reman cartridges from other manufacturers, and you find out they don't last as long, they don't do as well, they don't look as good, but they're a little cheaper. So,
all right, so let's talk about this AI camera. So this is the only DTF camera printer with a camera inside. The way they're explaining it is that camera's sole purpose, it has many, but the main purpose that it's there is for calibration. So it's constantly looking at image quality of the print in order to make minuscule little adjustments to the print heads. Do you think that's a AI bell and whistle that is for the verbiage, or it's really doing something good for us?
I know that, like, with some of the other brands, as far as the calibration goes, they're very touchy, and it's getting those things kind of calibrated sometimes it takes a professional. They are very touchy machines. If you're just a little bit of color off, or it doesn't print, where, like, you'll have like overlap where it won't put the white, so the color won't show and there'll be a shadow. So if it is using that for that purpose, then you're going to get your colors where you need it to be. And then I think I've seen that it could detect clogged nozzles or anything like that. And if it were to be able to, say, detect it had a clogged nozzle and stop it, that would save you from, say, if you printed, 50 feet of prints and it stopped it, that would save a lot of waste and a lot of wasted toner product or ink, and then the film and all that, and time.
Okay, so next we got software. All of the DTF printers on the market, Windows machines. I'm a Mac guy. If you're in the creative space, there's a high probability you run on Mac. So it's nice that we're going to be using, XCS for this, Mac and Windows compatible. So that's nice for some of you. You won't care, but other people, like me, it's super important. I don't want to have to go out and buy another machine just to run my machine, type of thing. Let's look at a couple of more questions that we have here. Inside the software, it supports production cost calibration. So what that's going to do is it's literally going to tell you how much your job is going to cost for that print inside the software before you actually execute the print. And that cost will include both ink and film costs in it. So I mean, if you've watched any of my business-based videos, you know that understanding your true expenses is the key to running a successful business, because you really have to know what your expenses are in order to price things accurately. So if the software is auto doing that for you, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that'll definitely save a lot of questions in the groups, like all the time in the laser groups. The number one question, well, I made this thing.
Yes.
How much should I sell it for? Which, that's a huge question all the time. And it's always up to, well, what is your time worth? What do you have invested? What did you do in research and development? So like this is going to cut all that out. And also just like from a medium or small business perspective, if, Justin called me and was like, hey, I want 50 shirts, and I could hit upload his logo, put in the 50 shirts, I know it's going to cost me $100 in supplies. Well, then I charge Justin appropriately, and I don't ever come out on the downside end of it. So
Yeah.
you'll actually know what it's costing you.
Yeah, that's really important. There's so many times when I'm doing like consulting work and I'm talking to people and they don't fully understand their expenses, and then they're not pricing things accurately, to the point where I've had people where they're losing money and they think they're making money. Obviously, this is going to be a very small number. You're probably looking in the range of like $1 a print, give or take within a certain range. But still, it's important to know.
Yeah.
So a couple other questions we have. Do you know the cost of the ink and film powder? Nope, we don't. Now, there's some verbiage on there that's saying that the roll of film will come later, but the testers that have it already have the roll of film on there. So I think that's one of those wait and see things at the moment. How many sheets per ink cartridge per pattern? It's impossible for us to be able to calculate it for you. I asked. They can't give us an average either, because you don't know what size print you're doing. I mean, you could be covering a blanket, or you could be doing just a little logo right here. So it's hard to come up with an
If you were
average.
doing the back of my shirt, it's gonna take a whole lot more ink than it would be my goddaughter's shirt, because she's
Yep.
an 8-year-old, 10-year-old girl. I mean, that's
Exactly. Or you're doing a hat, or whatever. It's all different.
Or doing sheets of the the leatherette, because I do a lot of hats with DTF print on it, and if you're doing those sheets, it's going to be a lot different also.
Another person asked, can the printer be profiled? So assign your own ICC profile. Their answer is, while using our official ink and film, our team has configured ICC profiles to ensure the best color outputs. They didn't actually answer that one. It is currently set up for their inks. They have not released the cost of the shaker dryer, but it is a really big unit. I can't imagine it being cheap, to be honest. But in all honesty, when I look at this, the printer's great, but the thing that makes this what it is having the printer with the shaker, the shake and bake. So I couldn't imagine anybody not buying it as one unit altogether.
Yeah, because like when you get into that space where you're looking at those all-in-one press go, and then at the end of it, I can take that print and press it on a shirt, you're looking at high, like tens and tens of thousands of dollars at all the ones I was looking at.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So it prints at 50 square foot per hour, which PS on that is an asterisk right now. It's an estimation. They haven't come out with the official number yet. In some places it says 48 square feet per hour. In some places it says 50. Not 100% on that yet. Will that change with the shaker dryer installed? No. It moves at one constant rate. How long will the warranty be? And specifically covering the print heads. It will have a 1-year warranty on the main unit, and it will have a 1-month warranty on the print heads. I gotta say, I'm not super excited about that one.
Yeah, print heads are the wear part. It'd be like the tires on a car per se, but those print heads are not cheap.
So really, what that comes down to for me is I'm very interested to see what the current testers come up with. And when I get my hands on it too for a review, I will not be one of the first two, by the way. So somebody else will be coming out with the first ones. I'm in the second wave of reviewers. But looking at it, that is really one of the big things. That maintenance cycle is the make or break for me. So not being a full professional crank out shop, it would be completely prohibitive for me if it's going to break.
I mean,
So
me
if
even being a
not using
production shop,
well, yeah,
even being a production shop, if I had to replace print heads every so often, if I didn't perform a ton of maintenance, I'm no better off than I was before. So
yeah,
I might even shy away from it if that was, you know, not the case.
yeah. I'm actually going to give some feedback on that one because that's I feel like that could be a unneeded cause for concern for people if they read that in the warranty. So I hope they will reconsider that one, especially the cost of print heads. Let's see what else we got. We're
And
released.
there's
Go
two
ahead.
print heads.
There are two print heads.
And
Yes, you are correct.
dual print head is good, and unless you have to replace them.
Yes. Although, from what I've heard, the majority of replacements typically come from the white for some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe that has a little bit like of a different consistency in the pigment in order to achieve white.
Yeah,
maybe.
I know that the white, you have to recirculate that one a lot more also, and it has to stay more moving.
Mm-hmm. And so if you're not familiar with DTF printing as well, on certain other types of printing methods, thumbs up. Didn't do that on purpose, but on certain other different types of printing methods, you have limitations on the color of the materials that you can print on because, you're not going to actually be able to see the image that you're putting on it. But when you're talking about DTF, it's laying down that white, so it doesn't matter what color you're putting this on. You're going to get like a rich, vibrant look on whatever it goes on. So that's kind of one of the big pros of getting into DTF, right?
And compared to like say sublimation or something like that, you're not limited on material. So this is a cotton shirt. I could put DTF right on a cotton shirt. I could also put it on a leatherette. I've actually put DTF prints on wood.
Oh, okay.
So
Nice.
it was a cool thing I wanted to try, and it worked great. But with the sublimation, like if you're not putting it on a white polyester item or a like a specifically sublimation coated item, you're not going to get any vibrant color. It's going to look washed out, and it's just not. It's not going to be what you want it to be.
Or like a basketball jersey that's perforated, for example, you're able to put this on. What do we think business-wise for this machine? Is this machine being added to somebody who's already in the apparel printing business? Is this going to be a win for them?
Based on the people that I've taught a lot of people laser engraving, so obviously I've gotten their feedback, and at all walks of life. Some of them own full apparel companies and DTF shops. A lot of them are really excited actually because it is that all-in-one unit at that price tag. So if they were doing like smaller runs or they didn't need to run their big 24-inch wide, production printer, and also the maintenance or the maintenance of it, if they could reduce that, a lot of people said that would be a huge plus for them.
Yeah. I think when xTool looked at this market, because obviously this is their first entry into this market, they probably cast their net out on like, all right, where are we going next? Let's look at a market that is low. So like the DTF market, for example, is only anticipated, or they predict is only 5 to 10% of the apparel segments. Most of it is screen and sublimation. So they're looking at a market that is very underserved from this, and then they looked at what the issues were, so maintenance and just a whole bunch of steps in the process. So by combining all of that and solving those problems, they would come out with a winner machine. It's just the question, and I have all the faith in the world that it is. Mike is big into xTool. I'm big into xTool. I turned down a lot of other reviews of other laser engravers because I like xTool. I like how the software is included. I like how it's user-friendly. I like the build quality of everything. And I like that they're the ones that are pushing innovation in the space. And I keep seeing other companies kind of copy them. I have all the... I have the feeling that they're going to pull this off. It might be a bumpy road, but I'm interested. I think they can do it, is basically like my thought process. I could be wrong. Time will tell.
Yeah, I'm curious to see this how it all pans out. I mean, you know, there was anytime you come out with a new product, you're gonna have some unexpected gotchas or, you know, some updates needed or, you know, a firmware thing here or there. That's expected with anything in the industry. From a computer engineering background, anytime there's a new software, you're gonna have something. Somebody's gonna click something that you never in a million years would have expected, and you're gonna find that out. So as long as they're proactive about like addressing it and they're, you know, they've done their R&D, which it seems like they are, you should.
Yeah, they have 800 people in their R&D department. They're R&D heavy over there. Just a little tip too, because I was just thinking about it as you were saying it. I answered this question for somebody like a week ago in the Facebook groups. There are a million different computers that are running XCS. And so there are different issues that can crop up specifically from the computer that you are using. And so it's already difficult enough to design this software for the different machines that they have, but they have to take into account all of that. So what I always recommend to people is save your previous download zip file of the software. So whenever they come up with a new one, there's people that are worried about downloading it because it might be bricked. It might have issues and stuff. Download it, but keep your last one until you know that you're not encountering those issues. If you're not encountering issues, trash it. Otherwise, you have that one that you can fall back on, delete the current one, and go back to the last version. Easy solution.
Former IT guy here. I have a repository of every version of XCS that I've got in the past, years. I just keep them all in a file because they don't eat anything. They're not huge files. I mean, what is it? A terabyte hard drive now is nothing. So yeah, just save your files, and then you could always roll back and reinstall.
So thinking about the price on this unit, do we think that it's fairly priced at the just-in guess of $6K?
I mean, at $6K, I think it is, just because, I mean, anything comparable, even though like some others are like larger or whatever, you're looking at 3 and 4 times that price for the entry of a start and stop, press go, and have it come out on the other end that could do like 50 feet per minute. And the dual print heads is huge. The fact that it has the AI camera and it's all integrated, I think is, you know, if you're getting into this market or you're in the market and you're trying to take it to the next level with customization, which is where I'm trying to be, just with the one-off customs or, you know, hey, I need this on the fly. I don't have 3 days to wait to order it. So I need to have one in shop. I think if you're in that market, then this is going to be a wise investment for you.
Yeah. So comparing that over to people who just purchase their prints. So they're purchasing their prints $3-4 a piece. Let's say this one's coming out at $1 a piece. That means that you're saving $2 to $3 a print versus purchasing the print already ready that you're then going to apply to your fabrics. At that price point, it will take many thousands of prints to recoup your investment. But in this space, you're always equipment heavy investing anyway. So that almost is not the right way to look at it. It's more like you can't do the job without that type of machine.
Yeah, I kind of have a couple machines to vouch for that. You know.
Yeah. Now let's compare this to the other one that's kind of like the Panda one, the Pro Color.
Pro Colored.
Yeah. So Pro Color, that's also the one that hit me up to do a review thing. That one's coming in around 3,000. So it's lower, but again, you have one printer head on that one. You have the whole process. It's not automated.
Well, it doesn't have the auto cut because I looked into that one too.
It's like a manual cut, right?
Yeah, you have to manually slice it, which.
So it adds another job to do before it can keep printing again.
And the other thing was, I think that one had 9 feet per hour.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, if they're advertising 9, and xTool's advertising one, at 50, that's 1/5 of the capability or the production quality or
Hmm.
production capability. And
Yeah.
that 9 feet per hour, that doesn't mean you could process 9 feet per hour, because you need to cut it, shake it, and bake it on your own, which
Hmm.
that adds a lot of steps.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of people comparing that in the forums, so it's just good to put it out there. Um, as far as they are not the same machine. It's almost like this one is one of those higher tier machines that we've moved down to a lower tier price point, as long as everything comes out the way it should, of course. Um, and then you have the lower tier down here that actually is pretty close in price point, although before you factor in the shake and bake, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I think the Pro Colored had another model right before this that really wasn't that much different,
Hmm.
if I
There's a
recall.
bigger model that's on like a cart, I think. But yeah, just comparing it over. Um, do you think this type of printer expands out your capabilities enough that it warrants purchasing? Like, so not even this one at all, just getting into the DTF game. Does that expand your offerings?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that means I could do apparel on the fly, which is huge. Um, and I could just do like the hat patches. I could do one-off items, and I don't have to wait and order. Shipping adds up. I mean, if you're paying $8-10 to ship it, I can't
Mhm.
go, if you order a one-off thing, or say you need 5 for your company, well, then I need to either wait till I bill out a gang sheet and order it that way, or order a small batch and then add that factor of shipping cost and then waiting 3 days. And then if I were to not press it properly, well, dang. So now I need to order
Yeah, that
more,
is true.
because
There's
I
a
always, if you need, I'm always a big proponent. If you need one, you need two. If you need two, you need three. And anything, it scales from there. Same with lasers. That's the reason I have multiple lasers, because you can't just tell your customer, hey, sorry, we don't have enough. It doesn't look good on you. It makes you,
yeah,
it's being able to print on the fly is huge. Now, if you're doing one shirt a month, it's probably not going to be something you're looking into.
yeah. Hmm.
But if you
Yeah,
were
I
looking to
mean,
get
that type of stuff, it's really like if you're not doing that type of product, you're not going to buy any of these DTF printers in the first place because it's price prohibitive, and the maintenance on the other ones specifically too runs the risk of you just spending that money and getting a brick at a certain point.
exactly, so at a certain point, yeah, you need to weigh out, like, is them any maintenance? If they are both truly, or either of them, any DTF is truly advanced to where now they're auto cycling themselves, there's less maintenance, you don't need to intervene, and also you don't need to power it on and print every day, and you don't need to do that, and it's still going to function. You're not going to wear out your print heads, or like have to spend a ton of money on consumables.
Hmm.
If it's truly gotten to that point, which a lot of companies are kind of making those claims, then I think we are at a point where it is a feasible option to have one in your shop, where,
Hmm.
like I said before, if you didn't use it every day and you didn't have, the production need, it was cheaper by the time you paid for the cleaning supplies, the maintenance and power and the time and all that. So I think with that automation, it's going to be, as long as everything does shake out that way, it's going to be a big difference.
I got a couple last little behind the scenes videos. So this is them filming their heat press that they came out with and introduced at the M1 Ultra. They have a really cool little set there. And what else we didn't show yet?
The fact that looked like a standalone unit too, that's really neat, with the shake and bake and then the printer on it. It kind of almost looks like
Yeah,
it's the whole
yeah.
package.
Hmm. The printer does mount onto the shake and bake, and then there are self leveling feet. So here's it just in action. We haven't really gotten to see a ton, but this screen that is built into the printer unit looks really vivid and nice. And obviously, it's a touch screen as well. On the screen, I can make out a preview view on the left, and then up at the top, it's saying actively printing, and then waiting, which means that we can obviously queue jobs, and then completed jobs. It gives you kind of an indicator on the printing and how much is left. And then on the lower end, there's the quantity 1 of 1 on this particular one with a cancel and pause button in green. And then I assume the big physical button right there is like your go execute button.
I think that's pretty neat though, that it shows you what is coming, like as you're kind of printing it.
Yeah. So this is at the bottom of the shake and bake. This is where it drops out. And they're just kind of showing the, after it's been baked, it is durable on this film sheet. You're not going to damage it for the most part.
And that does look really, I mean, that looks really good. I'd love to see like what the graphic looked like of that to make sure, you know, the colors are perfectly matched. But by the looks of it, that looks pretty sharp.
Up this one. This is a different view of the machine. So there's some sort of access port over here on the side. That might be for maybe like the powder hopper, perhaps, because that's where that's happening. But unknown on that.
Or it could just be an access maybe to rotate if, you know, they had some kind of power failure or something was stuck, maybe like a clean out port.
Could be.
Although it looks like a door on the front too. But that, I think that's where it drops out, right?
This like lower thing that you're seeing at the bottom is kind of where the dropout is. It doesn't look like to me. Let's zoom in on this guy, maybe. We'll be CSI detectives here. So we're seeing like screws or rivets right here, most likely screws. Well, that one has a little touch door, so you touch it and it'll pop open. Also, you can see how this is actually making a shelf that it sits on, that the printer kind of inlays in, and you can see that the foot is actually just kind of suspended in midair at this point. I'm sure there's some sort of locking mechanism, because obviously you wouldn't want it to wiggle free off of there. So that was like the right side view.
Yeah, I really think that's cool that it's a standalone unit like that. Like that, you could use it either way, hypothetically. If you didn't get the shake and bake unit, set it on a desk, do what you got to do. But if you do get the shake and bake, you can kind of pop it right on.
So this one is, because the last photo we were looking at was more of like a right side view. So this is the left side view. So we can see over here, no little access port. You can see the shiny chrome stability feet there. And then you see how it has like a tray that kind of comes out to grab it, that either that locks on or it flips up maybe. It looks like that might be the same size.
That is neat though, to be able to see all of it, you know. I'm excited to see how
I like that there's a glass viewing window.
Yeah, it'll be cool. I'll probably take some video as I'm doing it in the shop, you know, and just set a camera there, and it'll be good for promo videos, if nothing else.
Yeah, of course. So any last thoughts, Mike?
I'm just excited to see how it actually performs. I want to make sure that, for me, just like you, the deal breaker was going to be the maintenance, and making sure that you're not going to burn out a print head, any of that jazz. But by all accounts, I mean, it looks like something that would add a ton of potential and revenue to my shop. It looks like a exponentially cheaper cost-wise version of a more expensive printer that I was looking at. And the amount of production output, even if it's close to that 50, I know we said 48, 50 feet per hour, I can tell you that with one press that I have, I pressing 50 prints in an hour, or 50 feet of print in an hour, that's a tough ask. So, you know, if you're printing out 50, that's pretty good. The prints look vivid. I'm curious to see how they compare to like other DTF prints that I've ordered. And then I want to see the consumables cost. But outside of that, it looks like something I'm definitely going to be investing in at this point.
And, you know, just on that zoom in point of the screen on the unit, obviously you can queue jobs for it. So you can, you know, say, hey, I need 5 of this job, and 10 of this job, and I need 100 of this job. And so that might even work out where in your shop you have that machine running today for tomorrow's prints. So when you come in tomorrow, you're picking up that big stack, and all right, I'm pressing shirts while now it's working on tomorrow's work, type of thing. So
if it's anything like XCS in general, you can probably build yourself some gang sheets where if I have 5 of this logo that are this big and then 8 of the other ones, and I could squeeze them together for production just to save on film roll space. Probably, I'm assuming that would likely work, and you could build those out too.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to get one too, and put it through its paces. I'm going to be working with a print shop, so I'll do my own tests and whatnot and review of the machine. But I'm actually going to get it in service as part of that video too, just so we can, have some professionals making some stuff with it and seeing what they think as well. So stay tuned for that stuff. It's probably not going to be until January, February, March, April at least. I know when the kind of accidental Kickstarter thing came out, I was like, we're not going to see anything because we're literally going to start, vacation in China right now for like 2 months for some people.
Chinese New Year, yeah.
Yeah, so it's literally starting in like 2 or 3 days. So they're shutting down over there, so we're not going to see anything coming out of there for a little while. So the Kickstarter ends on March 30th, and so then shipping will begin at that point. So I would expect to see this sometime mid, the following month or so. So we still have quite a bit of time. So hopefully we gave you guys some good information on this machine that will tide you over for a while. And I'm sure on February 13th, xTool is going to be kind of doing the full unveil at that point. We're kind of in the pre-buzz phase right now. So hopefully all...
We're in the oops phase.
Yeah. Hopefully all answers will be out there on the 13th. I'm sure at least all the ancillary pricing will be, of course. So I want to thank Mike. Check out Mike, Diode Designs. Is it diodedesigns.com?
DiodeDesignsLLC.com.
Awesome. And of course, you can always find Mike on the xTool Facebook pages. Make sure you ask him lots of questions. Take up all his time. That's what he's there for. If you got some good stuff from this video, I will have a link down to my referral down below. So if you do want to put a reservation on this machine, I get a little kickback from that. I always appreciate it. Otherwise, stay safe in the shop, and I'll see you in the next one.